This coach said about James Pearce, they hunted him in protection. He's good in the pass game, but not as good in the run game. If you're trying to find a weakness in the run game, you need to run at him and make him the point of contact. So that makes me think that this coach thinks that James Pearce is overrated. I'm not going there. I never thought at 245 pounds he would be an elite run stopper. I'm not comparing him to Lawrence Taylor. Okay. But Lawrence Taylor, it was 10 against 11, and he got to line up wherever he wanted to, so you couldn't run the ball at him. That would be an incredibly gutsy move for Tennessee to do, but I think it would fit Pierce's skills quite well. I'm not comparing him to Lawrence Taylor, okay?
Yeah, I mean, this is where, like, one, I'm not sure this is true, because I've actually seen them put James Pearce in the middle and blow up some defensive some interior linemen. And this is like back in the day when I don't even like Jeff Fisher, so I'm not going to give him the credit for it. I'm going to give it to Jim Schwartz. But Jim Schwartz every now and then would catch a defense off guard where he'd move Kyle Vanden Bosch into the middle and line up Albert Haynesworth at end. And every announcer would be like, Albert Haynesworth can't play end. He's too slow. Dave, Albert Haynesworth could have played defensive end and been the best defensive end all the time if he wanted to. And he would blow up the play every time. I think
if he kept his cool.
Well, I like him angry. When I was a Titans fan, I loved him angry. I'm not even going to lie. Except for that one time he stepped on Andre Gerard's head. That was a little too far. But what I'm saying is I think it's the reverse with James Pearce. People see him as such a good edge rusher. They can't process the idea that he can be dangerous in the middle. Because here's the thing James Pearce understands. And Dwight Freeney, I remember said this in an interview years ago. He said, honestly, your actual size is the most overrated thing when you're playing on the defensive line. It doesn't matter about whether or not you're on the end or in the middle. He's like, yes, you got to be strong, you got to be conditioned. He said, but your ability to get leverage outweighs everything else. When they line James Pearce up in the middle, Dave, do you ever notice that James Pearce gets leverage very fast? It's how quickly you can, if you play with your hand in the dirt, it's how quickly you can come up, too, against an offensive lineman. And he explodes coming up faster than anybody I've ever seen.
I want to share this, and it just almost is so unbelievable that I don't want to read it. But again, I think that David Ubben's a very good reporter. And I think that these coaches, while they have a narrative and there are things that they want to pass along, this one doesn't seem to be anything but a shot at James Pearce. Where would you rank James Pearce among the best players on Tennessee's entire football team?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's number one to me.
Okay.
I'm pretty positive he's number one.
Negative from this coach.
All right. He's on crack.
Okay. Where would you rank him as Tennessee's best defensive player?
I'd still have him number one.
Not according to this coach.
This coach is on crack.
Where would you have him on Tennessee's defensive line?
Number one.
This coach is on crack. He says he is third behind Omari Thomas and Bryson Eason.
All right, I'm going to say it. David Ubben went to Destin, caught Ed Orgeron at a bar, drinking, talking football. And Ed Orgeron was drunk and thought he'd just say some funny stuff. And that's the only thing that describes this, right? Is drunk Ed Orgeron in Destin saying, well, they're going to be defensive lineman in the middle. Yeah. And I mean, like, honestly, come on now. That's the only way you could come up. That's the only, or maybe he called Steve Sarkisian at a bar, but Steve Sarkisian's working now. So, I mean, I'm not going to go there. Ed Orgeron's not.
He was an SEC coach.
Yes.
Catch him at the right time. I had an administrator who used to text me all kinds of weird things at 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. And, Tennessee had a coach back in the 80s that we don't need to get into that wasn't the best. And Bear Bryant himself wasn't the best with this. But
there is no way that he's the third best. Now,
no, as a matter of fact, I think the focus on James Pearce is why the interior defensive line is looking so good a lot of times.
I know. So what's our poll question? What are the early responses on that? Nico,
62% say neither.
I agree. If you had to make an argument that one of the two are overrated, maybe it's Nico because we had him rated so darn high, Caleb.
Yes. No, I agree. But that's like,
that's like me buying a car that is supposed to go 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, and it goes 4.3, and I've got a huge problem with it. I don't have a huge problem with it. I would have liked to have gone as fast as I thought, but I mean, if Nico is, again, just 7 games in, 6 games as a full-time starter, if he is just an A in your mind right now, then A+ is still very attainable. If he's just a B quarterback in your mind right now, then A+ is very attainable. I'll break it down to just a couple of plays and one piece of equipment that Nico needs in his dorm room or his living space or his mansion or whatever in the hell he has nowadays. He needs to, I'm going to take away the Brew play, the interception against NC State, because he threw, I think Brew let up on that play. He obviously got outfoxed by Florida when they dropped back into coverage. He's had fumbles. The guy needs to go to Home Depot and get one of the big, I'm not even kidding, and get a big bucket and get a big bag of sand and put it in it and put his hand in it, and it strengthens your hand just to flex your hand in the sand, because the ball also slipped out of his grasp at the end of that Arkansas game. So he's got a hand grip strength issue. He might not fumble one of those 2 balls that he turned over in the Oklahoma game. Again, that was the offensive line letting somebody come free and he got hit. So that's usually more on the offensive lineman. But still, the guy needs some hand strength. And maybe that could help you in more ways than one. I don't know, Caleb, but that's what he needs. He needs a big bucket and he needs a bag of sand.
Yes.
And you just do that while you watch TV. I was really good friends with a Major League Baseball prospect, and that's how he strengthened his hands. I'm not joking. That is the piece of equipment that he needs.
You know, I'm with you.
I mean, it's old school, but what else are you? I mean, it's hard. I love working out, but there's not a lot of good ways to work out your fingers.
That's what hookers say.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. But you know, and that's a fair point to Nico. Back to Pearce, though. I mean, look, we hyped Pearce up as much as we hyped Nico up this offseason. The only reason we hyped up Nico more is he's the quarterback. But if Dave, at the beginning of the season, if you were going to say who's going to rank higher at their position, Nico or Pearce, I would have said both. But if I had to pick one, I would have said Pearce, right? And you would have too.
Well, yeah, and everybody would have. It wasn't just us. Everybody was on that.
Yes. So I'm not going to sit up here right now and knock Nico, and knock Pearce, or knock us how we touted Nico, or say he's more overrated, or say that Pearce is more overrated. I think Nico is more overrated because he hasn't lived up to our level of expectations. I think this take on Pearce is just absolutely insane. I mean, again, I'm just going to say it. This guy shouldn't be coaching. I mean, because if you think this is a lazy take. This is a lazy take to think that James Pearce can't stop the run. 1, that's not a red flag. That's not his job. 2, and more importantly, yeah, he can. They line him up in the middle a lot. You're not watching this game. You're just assuming because of his size that he can't do it. And I'm sorry, but if you do that as a coach, I mean, what type of coach are you? Honestly,
I don't know. He needs some hydration. Peak IV hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Wide range of IV treatments. He may already be on something in his IV bag that we don't know about. Designed to help you feel your best, whether you're recovering from illness, prepping for a big event, or just needing an energy boost. Peak IV hydration has received over 100 5-star reviews. Fast and effective. PeakIVhydration.com. PeakIVhydration.com.